It's very clever, it's very wicked.
Yeah, it certainly is. One thing we've all been talking about, not necessarily on today's agenda, but the Irish bailout, and we've all got opinions about that.
Let's rephrase that. This is not a bailout of the Irish. It's not a bailout of Ireland. It's a bailout of the Irish banks and their crooked politicians.
And some of our banks.
And ours too. The best thing the Irish could do is what the Icelanders said, and said, stuff the lot, just default on it. Iceland did that. Their currency, of course, floats. Iceland is now well on the way to recovery, but the poor Irish are enmeshed, having been forced with 2 votes into Lisbon, and of course they're in the euro. They're absolutely stuck. Well, we're not bailing out the Irish, we're bailing out their crooked politicians and the banks.
That's very true. That's very true. Let's turn to a bit of internal business. The letter you wrote to the that's the Rolling Stones, that isn't it? That's not a bad soundtrack. To the Polish president recently. Can you tell us a bit more about that letter that you wrote?
Yes, I wrote to Jerzy Buzek, this is the president of the European Parliament, on the 27th of October. Headed right to the non-attached. This is something that we decided, all the nationalists decided, each of us or some of us would do. And it's over 3 things. First of all, as non-attached members, we're still able to choose a representative, or constitutionally, we should be to choose a representative to send to the Council of Presidents, which is the council of the heads of all the political groups, the Socialists, the Greens, the Christian Democrats, and so on. And that right has been taken away from us, wholly unconstitutionally, and the European President has just appointed a representative for us, who happens to be Diana Dodds.
Tell us a bit about your first encounter with Diana Dodds, Andrew.
Well, I'd never heard of her before, and so I had absolutely no opinion. But I saw a certain flurrying and some woman desperately looking for a seat. And I learnt later that she'd been given the seat next to me. But I think she felt she was going to be somehow contaminated by sitting next to me. So she went and sat in a seat that really belonged to the Flams Belang, rather than being contaminated even for a few seconds by sitting next to me and our chairman.
She happily sits with Sinn Féin members, but not with us. But the key thing, okay, she's entitled if she wants not to sit next to Andrew Bruns, but I can't see that the President of the Parliament is entitled to appoint her as our representative when she won't sit next to us, she won't talk to us, she regards us, as Trevor Phillips does, as subhuman, effectively. So I've written, and I said to him, effectively it's an apartheid system here, and we're the victims. And there's 2 other things as well. The non-attached, we're told that we can't use our communications allowance to run our websites because we're individual MEPs, but all the attached ones, all the ones in big party blocks, can do. So it's another example of discrimination. So I wrote to him about this on the 27th of October, and I haven't even had the courtesy of a reply.
Yes, I sent a similar letter to Mr. Bugario, who's the civil servant in charge of the unattached, and asked why they chose the least appropriate person. The interesting history about this is, of course, that for about 2 years the rules said that the unattached or the non-attached should delegate a person to attend. Now that clearly means to elect somebody. The authorities within the European Parliament refused to allow us to do that. When they were challenged as to why they weren't doing it, they said, oh, you've caught us out, we'll change the rules. So they changed the rules quite cynically to allow the President to appoint the person rather than to elect them.
All MEPs are equal, but some are more equal than others.
Yes, or rather some are less equal.
I think overall, though, I mean, I've noticed a big difference here from back home. Our MEPs seem to be a lot more respected. There doesn't seem to be the degree of hostility that there is at home, although we've highlighted one piece. We are, or you 2 are accepted here, are you not?
Most of the officials here, the permanent employees, almost invariably act with professionalism and with civility towards us. And the people who hold political power don't. They seek to reduce our power and influence in the non-attached. But by and large, the officials do.
But it's changing even back in Britain. You look, say, Andrew going to meet with the fishermen. Both of us laying wreaths again for the second year running. Very much as part of in our constituencies, very much part of the sort of fixtures and fittings. And last week I was in effect, the House of Commons back in Britain in the Portcullis House at a meeting of the all-party group on climate change. And again, actually, we're normalised. And I think also then you look at the rhetoric coming out of the political class in Britain. They've adopted an awful lot of at least our slogans and our core ideas, and they are talking about Islamification, for instance, and the problems of it. So little by little, all over Europe, including in Britain, the nationalist message and nationalist people are becoming certainly not respectable, but at least acceptable and sort of understandable. We are moving into contact, at least, with the mainstream. On
that point, we're pushed for time now. The last thing I want is to take you gentlemen's time, and you're not going to be able to vote. No one would forgive me for that, but I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been the first of what I propose to be a number of programmes that give you an inside view of what BNP MEPs do. And I thank you for your time. I thank Nick for his time, Andrew for his time, and we'll be back again. Thank you.